There she is.
What's going on, brother?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yes, I am not tech savvy. I am the
It,
finance girl, not the tech girl. So,
it's okay. It's okay. I've had to learn along the way, so it's okay. Don't worry about it. Look at you. You got the got the hair looking nice. You all suited and
oh
booted.
my gosh, all I want is a barber in my quarantine state.
Hey, I'll send my barber up there. He still cut you up. He still has me looking
That's
crazy.
it.
So I
That's it. That's
understand.
it. I miss you, bro, out there in Inglewood.
Inglewood up to no good. You know we holding it down. What's up? What's up, everybody? Well, thank you guys
Yes,
for
yes,
working
yes.
through our technical difficulties. Apparently, you have to go through Instagram Live through your phone, not through your computer. So again, we're all learning and getting better here now. But as you guys can see, I do not want to waste too much of your time. This is the world famous Natasha Blair. I will have her tell her story. But as you guys heard when I was introducing her on my page, man, she is just a phenomenal woman. She is excellent in everything she does. She's electric. Again, she came from, we actually almost ran track together. I feel like we might have seen each other at a meet, maybe. We didn't know each other, but she also ran in the Big Ten when I ran in the Big Ten at Purdue,
Yes.
ran the hurdles, I believe. And she's just a phenomenal woman. First and foremost, I want to ask you, how are your boys doing? How's the family doing?
Oh my gosh, my boys, they are growing. My 12-year-old just turned 13 a couple Sundays ago. Oh my gosh. If
Yes.
anybody on here has advice for a mom of a teenage boy, I am all open. I'm just here ready to learn for this next stage. My 5-year-old, my redhead, African American, crazy kid who was born on Valentine's Day, he is good too, just getting all the attention everywhere he goes. So they miss Cali, but they're good. They're good.
That's fun. That's fun. Well, the best I advice, okay, it's not really advice, but just be prepared for the Funk Fest because it seems like with boys, as we get older, we take less baths. We don't bathe as much. So just be prepared for their rooms and a little bit of your house to be funky because that's what it is. All right. So I'm
And
letting you
I
know.
was going to ask somebody, like, can someone enlighten me as far as why boys don't like cleaning themselves? Because he's had this little issue for about a year and a half now. I
Oh
just
yeah.
call it the adolescent stage, but yes, yes,
No,
yes, yes. He needs to. Yeah, I'll send him your
it's worse.
way, Mark, and you can deal with that part.
Hey, that's fine. I'm just telling you, it gets worse. I'm just telling you now. I'm just letting you know now. We don't bathe. I don't know what it is, but we like smelling like men sometimes. So I'm just
I
letting
love
you
it.
know now. But like I said, I won't give too much of her story because I do want Natasha to give her 2 minute story. So let's start from there. Just give your brief 2-3 minute story about who you are, where you come from. I know you hail from the Lou, but tell the people about it because this is going to be recorded and people are going to watch this all over. So go ahead and give your story and we can start.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you to all the people that's viewing in right now. I'm someone that actually wants to get a little bit more comfortable going live, so I appreciate the invite. I'm always open and ready to share. I see people in the comments from the STO section. Yes, there you go, B. Joe. Hey, Brittany. I appreciate where we are now when it comes to technology, social media, because we're able to reach so many more people. I come from St. Louis, Missouri. I am a Midwest girl at heart. That is not changing. I am a Cardinal fan, a Nelly fan, a St. Louis Rams fan, all of that and above. But I've always been the girl that was obsessed with finances, even when I was a little kid. So my mom, when I was around 10 years old, we lived in the city. We grew up in a city called Wellston in St. Louis, Missouri. If you guys are on here, you know what that is. You know it's not the best upbringing. But I was always the one that's like, hey, we can save and we can get out of the city and buy a home in the county, right? And if we save right, we can get a better car. If we save right, I was always one that was obsessed with saving. And because of that, my uncle, he saw I had an aptitude for numbers. He said, you got aptitude for numbers and you're a little bit bossy. You should be a CPA. I said, oh, okay. So I was the one that started accounting, studying accounting very, very early because I love numbers. I was obsessed with that idea. End up going to McClure High School. If you're on here from St. Louis, McClure Comets, yes, yes, yes. Studied accounting there, got a track and field scholarship to Purdue University. And that was where I really elevated to a better me because I got out of St. Louis, Missouri, which is all that I knew. And I realized there was a world full of different people. There was a world full of different cultures. There was a world full of different opinions. So I grew, I elevated. I got around different associations. I got around different leadership, right? And it was there that I really said, okay, what can I really do for myself? How can I set myself up? And I was actually a young mother. I became pregnant with my son in freshman year of high school or freshman year of college. And I had him after my freshman year of college, and I was on a track and field scholarship. It was the biggest blessing ever that my coach allowed me to keep my track and field scholarship. So I'm going through this, and I'm a single mom. I am an athlete. I am going to work. I'm doing everything you could think of in college all at the same time, right? But that drove me. People ask me now, like, you know, what was it that allowed you to continue to keep moving? I don't know. I was just doing what I had to do at that time. So I ended up using my accounting degree from Purdue University to go into banking. I became a private client banker with JP Morgan Chase Bank. I was there for almost 8 years. Loved the idea of building client relationships and helping people build towards the future. No matter if you had a ton of money or if you had a little bit, there's a solution for everyone, right? So I fell in love with that industry, and I ended up transferring my position out to Los Angeles. Transferred my position out to Los Angeles 4 years ago. And that's when I realized politics absolutely exists in corporate America, and they are not going anywhere. This space was not getting what she deserved. She was not getting what she deserved, no matter how much work, how much money I made that company, because I wasn't the person that they wanted to have it. Things started going to other people. And I finally got, tired. And I said, you know what? I'm uncomfortable enough to want to do something different. And I ended up running to an individual, the co-founder of the company I currently work for. I love the vision, financial education, financial literacy. And I got started on a part-time basis, went full-time within 60 days. You fast forward, less than 2 years later, I have 3 offices nationwide. One out in St. Louis, Missouri, one out in Louisville, Kentucky, and a third out in Lafayette, Indiana, where my boys and I live now. And we're just getting started. The name of my financial services company is called Boss Movement Financial Services. It stands for a bold obsession to serve and save the lives in our community and around the world. And it's a legitimate movement. There's so much going on in the world right now, and I thank God that he put it on my heart to really go after this thing as a passion, because people think that I'm just in this thing to make money. It's so much deeper than that. It's so much deeper than that. A bold obsession to serve and save the lives in our community and around the world. And I thank God for who he has brought me to be, and surrounding me with people like Mark, who, minorities in the community that just want to do better, that just want to build our community up, no matter where we came from. It doesn't matter if you're somebody that came from, the city, little bitty city that had nothing, or if you came from the suburbs of anybody's county. You can be whatever you want to be, as long as you surround yourself with associations, right, and good leadership and self-develop. And I'm so excited as to where we're going from here. Mark, I know you have some questions for me, but keep going. Let's go. I like this conversation.
Oh, yeah, no, I love it. See, I'm telling you, already be firing me up. I'm like, tell me the dream, baby. Let's go. So, man, that's wonderful. I love the name of your company. And if everybody doesn't know already, we're both part of PHP Financial Agency. And again, this conversation just isn't about PHP, but it's about us as individuals doing something bigger than ourselves. So one question I always like to ask everybody on my IG Live is, and it has to be something you may have not already mentioned, is I like to talk about the highs and the lows of life, right? Let's focus on the lows just a little bit right now, but I want a moment of transparency where you faced a tough level adversity and you just felt like, man, God, I'm on my back. I'm looking up at you, Lord. What do you want me to do? And what was the mindset? What was the book that you read? What was something that somebody said to you that helped you overcome that adversity? Because we all face challenges. We all face different crises. But I know that something in your life, in your story, is going to change somebody's life right now. So I want you to give an example of a level of adversity where you were just like, man, I am broken down, God. What can I do to get out of the situation? And you maybe read a book, heard a song, whatever. What did you do to get out of that?
There's so many different times I can come to, because I'm the person that I take my trials as tests. I take my trials as tests to add it to my testimony. And I know that everything that God takes me through, no matter if it's something good or something hard, it's all meant for my story. And my story is meant to change and elevate somebody else's life, right? So I can go back to when I was a sophomore in college, and I was a single mom of a newborn, of a new baby, right? And I'm fighting to keep my scholarship and prove my point. And I don't have a car yet, because as freshmen, you couldn't have a car. So I don't have a car yet, but my kid has to go to daycare. So I'm literally every morning, the car seat, it has a little carrier. I'm carrying it on my arm. Walking a mile to his daycare, getting on the bus, going up to school, and then taking the trolleys around campus to go to practice after right? After you're done with your classes, then I take the trolley back down, or I get a roommate or a teammate to take me down to daycare to pick them up and take us home. But I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want anybody to think that, I was adding to their plate, right? And then years later, I go back and I tell my friends what I did. They said, I had no clue. I would have drove 3, 4, 5 miles to pick you up and go do that. Why would you do that? Because I didn't want to add to anybody else's. These are the cards that God dealt me. So you do what you have to do to make sure that you can make your ends meet and make sure that you take care of your household and you keep going with a smile. Those are the times where you really see the strength in someone. If you can go through your down times with a smile to where nobody knows, oh my gosh, right? Or you can fast forward to where I decided to take a leap of faith and leave JP Morgan Chase Bank, then where I was making 6 figures income, and I decided to be my own boss. And if anybody on here is an entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur, there's some things you have to go through, right? Before you start getting, your $10,000+ a month coming in, you got to go through some stuff. And I remember having the toughest year of my life and saying, God, I know you brought me here for a reason. I know you put this on my heart for a reason. What am I supposed to be doing? Because at this point, I feel like giving up. I came back to the Midwest. I got surrounded by my family, my family who absolutely have my back, my support system to the core. And I went to church. And I was just praying like, God, show me what it is that I need. And there was a woman that started singing on the praise team. She started singing a song, It Ain't Over. It ain't over until God says it's over. It ain't over until God says it's done. And I lost it. Because I had given up a little bit of that hope, right? When you go through for so long, you start doubting yourself. You start doubting who God created you to be. And then my first lady, she came up to me and she hugged me. She said, Natasha, I don't know what brought you back here to the Midwest, but I'm here to tell you it ain't over. Exactly what you thought God had for you, he still has for you. Exactly what dreams and goals you have for yourself, he has for you too. Don't forget where your strength comes from. And from that day on, completely different. Completely different. Office is open. Everything's happening and rolling because I remembered who I was. I remember my foundation and where my strength came from. Amen. Right? So there's so many different moments that we could talk about when it comes to adversity. But all of it, I love it because it's created me to be the person that God has needed me to be, not only for my boys, but for those who I come in contact with on a daily basis. So I hope that answered your question.
Oh man, you made me want to go to church. I'm telling you, got me fired up. Girl, trust me, I know we got some stories, but that was a wonderful story. So let me ask you this. You're a very knowledgeable woman. What would be a good book, like a book where if you knew somebody had to get through any situation or just learn leadership or whatever it is, what would be a book that you would recommend to somebody right now?
Oh man, there's so many good books out there.
No,
there's actually my 3 top favorite books. The very first book that I was given to by my one of my best friends, she ran track with me at Purdue. She's one of the most phenomenal women I've ever met in my life. She actually was the person that convinced me to move out to Los Angeles. Renee Orton, she actually is an entrepreneur herself. Glow by Day products. Some of you guys may own them. She's #1 on Amazon. But she gave me this book called Millionaire Fastlane about 6-7 years ago. And I read it, and that was the first time to where my eyes were open that it does not matter who you are or where you came from. Once you make the decision that you want to be something major in life and you're willing to put the work ethic behind it, you can be anything and do anything that you want to do. And you could be a freaking millionaire. It doesn't matter if you didn't come from millionaires. It's all about learning the skill set, right? And having the drive to get it done. So Millionaire Fastlane was the first book that changed my life. Then a book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Oh, man.
Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins is so raw. So when it comes to foul language, if you're a little, hesitant on that piece, cover your ears for a little bit, but you still need to read the book. Can't Hurt Me is so raw. And it digs deep into how to develop your mindset, developing a stronger mindset, and how we have so much more control over our circumstances than what we give ourselves. When I read that book, I realized that I was being a victim. Right? And I read this book about 12, 15, 16 months ago, somewhere between there. And the first time I read the book, because I read it twice now, first time I read the book, it was just so eye-opening, like, oh my gosh, this man is freaking phenomenal, right? What he's been through, how he's come back. You can be anything. Stop telling yourself that, you know, that it's somebody else's fault.
Man.
Go out there and fix your current circumstances. So Millionaire Fastlane, Can't Hurt Me, and a book called Relentless.
I gotta read that one.
Relentless. If you watch MJ's Last Dance,
yes,
his trainer is the Tim Grover, is the author of the book. Phenomenal book. It talks about the killer instinct that most people don't have, even if they think that they might have, because a lot of you guys are LeBron James fans, and he's awesome. But he's no Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, right? But yes, and somebody asked again, what are the books? Millionaire Fastlane. Millionaire Fastlane. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And lastly, Relentless by Tim Grover. Amazing books that have changed me. They've touched me. And there's a few books out there. I gave all books, unfortunately, that are male authors. For some reason, like I'm kind of driven in that direction a little bit more. I think it's because I was raised by strong males and I grew up in athletics. So they kind of guide me a little bit better. But that's just me personally. But yes, check them out.
Got you. Well, that's wonderful. And everybody who's asking for the books are, again, I will replay this and I will actually tag them when I post the whole video. So if you missed the books or you want to know the books, I'll make sure I put them in there. But man, great books. Can't Hurt Me. We just read that for the company that was last month's book. And it's raw. I mean, this dude pushed himself to the limit and beyond. Like, I done thought he was going to die like 12 times and he's still alive. So very good book. Now, like I said, we talked about the lows. Tell me about some of your highs. Now, I don't want to put your bees ass out in the street, but let's just say the little money fairy blessed you a lot last month. That's all I'm going to say. So if you want to talk about that, that's fine. But, and I'm not saying that, you know, to be like, oh, money's everything. But honestly, you got to understand where she's come from, where I've come from, you know, family from South Central, family from Inglewood, growing up in the Lou, talking about her area. Like, we didn't see money like that. Like, I've never physically seen $1 million in my hand or in my account, let alone a $10,000 a month or $15,000 a month, kind of what she mentioned. But when you work hard, you have good work ethic, that's possible. So I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that, your high moment.
Yeah. Listen, people, you know, making money is
being
fun,
modest. I'm
right?
just letting you know she's being modest right now. I'm trying to get her not to be modest. She's an actress.
I know, and I've never been the person that's been like the income sharer. I know some people are very, you know, open with that. No matter if it's during an uptime or a downtime, I've always just kept it kosher, right? Just kept it copacetic is what some people may call it. But I'll tell you, I thank God for where he's brought me to, because I remember when I was working at Chase Bank and I thought that, you know, between $6,000 and $8,000 on a monthly basis was a good amount of money, right? I thought that was, you know, really living the life that was meant for me, right? And I remember not having any control over my time. I remember, because I wasn't the person that had been at the company the longest, that, you know, I couldn't get the vacations I wanted to hang with my boys, not having time freedom. I remember having to pick vacations, you know, at certain times around other people's schedule, not being able to take, you know, Thanksgiving or Christmas because, but I thank God for blessing me as to what I have now, because there's no job that can employ me any longer, because I refuse to bring in less than $10,000 on a monthly basis. I'm not going back to that. So you can't employ me anymore. And when you take that type of control off the table, people start looking at you different. Your conversations are different. The respect level that you have with someone is different. When you can show someone your savings account, and you can show them that you have $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 plus dollars in your savings account, that's a different conversation that you're having, because it's a different respect that's given, right? When you're able to go ahead and say, Mom, what area do you want to live in? Where do you want your home? Do you want your home in St. Louis, Missouri, or do you want your home in Lafayette, Indiana? Tell me, because I'm going to make sure I get you what you want, and I want you comfortable. When your dad, your dad, the person that you look up to the most, your freaking Superman, right? He put me on the pedestal. He put me on the pedestal when I got the Chase Bank job. And when I told him I was leaving Chase Bank and I was going to start my own business, he took me off that pedestal because he was scared. He was scared and he was upset. But when you can look at him and you could tell him, remember you told me that you wanted a house by the end of 2021? I got you. I got you. I'm going to make sure I do that for you. I got you. And he says, what do you mean? I said, I got you. He looks at you completely different. And that's something that you'll never forget. Being able to take care of your family the way that they deserve to be taken care of because they brought you into this world. That's something you never forget. It's those type of moments that when you follow what God has for you, regardless if anybody else understands it or not, regardless if anybody else believes in it or not, when you follow what God put on your heart to do relentlessly, everything that you've ever wanted falls into place. And there is no longer a limit. There is no longer a limit because what God has for you is for you. And I'm no longer employable. I'll just say that.
Amen. You about to make me cry, girl. Don't you get me all emotional and stuff. Goodness great. That was powerful. That's what I'm talking about. That's what somebody needs to hear. Now, you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but I do want you to address this because, as you know, we bring on different people and different recruits to our teams. I've recruited mothers with children. You've recruited mothers with children. You are a mother with a child. I'm a father with a child. Actually, shout out to my son, Joshua, turned 6 today. So as a mother with multiple children, thank you. Two-part question. First part, if you can answer both parts, is how do you stay sane being a mom and being a business owner when they're climbing on you, they're asking for snacks, they're bothering you, they're trying to show you their jump tricks. But the most important part of the question is, how do you define work-life balance? Because everybody does it different, so I want to hear it out of your mouth. How do you stay sane, and how do you define work-life balance? Tell us the truth.
I'm going to be as transparent as I can be because that's the only thing I know how to be. Sometimes there is no answer. Sometimes there is no balance, right? Typically, so 95% of my business has been built via Zoom, virtual, right? Mm-hmm. So this is what most people see because I'm licensed in 19 states. I have agents across 10 of those, and I have clients across 19, right? So this is what most people see, and I'm always on the computer. Typically, if you see my hand go like this, it's not me being like extra excited. It's me telling them, no, go sit down, go, the bam, bam, bam. It's me controlling the environment, right? So when I recruit mothers to our agency, right? And I know some of you on here may not understand that word recruit. Some people may cringe when they hear the word recruit, but I'm building a freaking business. So if I think that you're somebody that's valuable, if I think that if I see the 10 in you and you can add to the value of my company, I'm going to recruit you. I am going to recruit you the same way that a JP Morgan Chase Bank would, the same way that your church has recruited you, the same way that any organization that you're involved in right now has recruited you. I'm going to do the same because I want the best in my organization. And if you seem to be that person, I'm going to recruit you. But anyway, back to your point. So if I'm recruiting a mother into my business and they have this issue, it's very easy for me to explain to them, you need support. You need support. I am blessed to have family that support me. They support me. I have siblings. I have a mom. When I'm on my appointments, they try the best to just take my kids away from me and make sure they're all taken care of. And when it comes to food and things of that nature, yes, some days they prepare the dinner. A lot of days they prepare the dinner. A lot of days they prepare the dinner because that support is so important. So the work-life balance, sometimes there is no balance and you have to be okay with it. Sometimes laundry's gonna pile up and they're gonna be falling all over the place. And the house isn't gonna be as clean as you want because I'm a Virgo. And guys, I'm kind of OCD with certain things. So this used to drive me a little crazy. And then I finally let it go. I finally let it go and said, that's not that important, right? It's gonna get done. It's either gonna get done by me or I'm gonna hire somebody to get it done. But one or two is going to get done.
Amen.
So sometimes there is no work-life balance. You just go with the flow and you adjust and pivot accordingly like we always do. Moms, we don't give ourselves enough credit. We do this. We were built for this. We've been doing this since day one. Since moment one, we've been doing this with our children. So it's the same way in business. You get the help and the support that you need and you pivot and adjust accordingly.
Amen. And I do want to say one disclaimer on top of that. When we talk about recruiting and bringing people onto our team, like I said, I got recruits from the West Coast to the East Coast, same for her. So if you're watching this and you're fired up by what she says, I'll just make a disclaimer. Look, from Dallas, Texas East, go talk to her. From Dallas, Texas West, come out at your boy. You know what I'm saying? That's always my disclaimer.
I love it, bro.
On the East Coast, I'm like, I'm just being honest because we want the best of the best, and we're a business. We are businessmen and businesswomen. So I wanted to make that disclaimer. So that was wonderful. Thank you. Now, I don't know how much time do I got with you. I got another good question for you.
About 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes. Okay. Here's my third question for you, and I need you to answer truthfully, okay? Like as truthful as possible. Are you ready?
I got you.
You think you still can race me in a hurdle race right now?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. For those that are just jumping on, this is a Wolverine, okay? This is a Michigan Wolverine here, and I am a Purdue Boilermaker. So if anybody knows Big Ten athletics, we don't like each other, okay? Michigan is probably one of the teams that I dislike the most outside of Ohio State Buckeyes. OHI, no. So when it comes to anytime we see each other, it's always like, you just ready, right? Kick off the shoes. I can run barefoot outside and take you down, Mark. Do not ever get it twisted. These limbs will never be too old to go.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, let me ask you this. As a leader, because this is something that I personally struggle with, and I tell people this all the time. I'm very transparent. As a leader and you're building a team, again, I don't always like to use three, but what are good three things to constantly practice and remind yourself as a leader? Because again, this is something that I've always been competitive. I always played sports, but especially in the business world, it's different leading a business team. It's different leading a company. And I'm still learning it myself. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, she's on another level than I am when it comes to this company. And I want to definitely get to where she's at and eventually pass her. But most importantly, I'm still in the learning stages of figuring out how to be a great leader. So what are some good leadership tips that you can give these people in like 1 or 2 minutes?
You're only as good as your number two.
Ooh,
a lot of times, that's number one. You're only as good as your number two. A lot of times leaders get so wrapped up in what they're doing, the money that they're making, the team that they're building, the amount of clients they're adding to their book of business, but you're only good as your number two. So for me, I look at it as, so we have agent codes in our business, right? I look at it as, how valuable is my code? How valuable is my code? If I were to sell my code right now, would it be worth anything? What do I mean by that? If I were to sell my code, am I the only person that's valuable in my business? Or has somebody duplicated me and added more value to my business? How many people have I had that's duplicated me that can go out and do this if I weren't here? You're only as good as your number two person. So if you're only focused on yourself and the amount of money that you're making and not focused on making your guys some money, you're going to fall soon. Very, very soon. So as a leader, that's what I'm constantly focusing on. How can I make my guys some money? How can I build my guys their business so they can be just as confident as I am, right? And how can I go out and like really expand the vision of as many people as possible on my team? Because if I'm the only person with a big vision that's making money, that's really building, it's not going to last long.
Absolutely.
It's not going to last long. So that's number one. And number two, ask the question again, because I really got into that one point.
I'm just asking you, very good point. But as far as building leaders, what's something, a philosophy or mindset, something, or an affirmation, something you tell yourself every single day that reminds you that this thing is bigger than me. I'm here to serve others rather than to be served. What's something that you tell yourself as a leader?
As a leader is just keeping the focus. Number two, keeping the focus on the true mission, right? I'm not building this thing for temporary. This is something that is going to last a long time. This is something that's going to end up being passed on to my children. I am not building this for temporary. So focusing on the goal, serving and saving. What's the reason behind that? I'm not just serving clients just because it pays the bills. I don't know if you guys have seen the news lately, but if you're Black and you're on this call, our men are being killed. The purpose that I serve in America and in the world today is to make sure that there's a value on every single person, especially minorities in this country. Because if there is more value in the lives that are being taken, so let's just say, for example, one of the individuals that's been taken away from us in the past 5 to 6 years, and for anybody that doesn't know me, and I know there's a few of you on here, I am from St. Louis, Missouri. My family was evicted from Canfield Green Apartments, the apartments that Mike Brown was killed in. I lived there. I lived there. So this isn't new. This isn't new. The value on our Black men's head has to go up. What do I mean by that? If someone was to take out one of the just to say one of the names that you've heard over the past 5 years, if they had $1 million value on their head, $1.5 million value. If everybody had an average of $500,000 of value on their life, do you think there would be a system or protocol in place to slow down the killing of Black men because it's taking too much money from out of our government, out of our nation, whatever you want to call it? Where do you think the money comes from? There's a true mission behind what I am doing and why God has placed me here. A bold obsession to serve and save. So number 2, just to reiterate, never losing sight of the vision and the mission that you're set out and you're on.
Amen to that. Okay, and I'm gonna wrap it up with this final question. Just a final thought, and don't get me all teary-eyed because I know you've been electric this whole time, but don't get me all teary-eyed. But I want a final thought from you about, I don't want to say your why because you kind of gave that, but when I think of it, I always think of, what is something when you leave this earth, what do you want people to remember Natasha Blair for? Like when you leave and it goes from, because I think you're my age, around my age, but let's see, 86, 87, 88, whatever it is, dash 20, whatever, right?
Right.
What is going to fill that dash? What's going to be in that space where they say, I remember Natasha Blair as this? What do you want to be remembered as?
I'm so glad you asked that question because that's something I've asked myself so often.
Yes.
And not even necessarily asking myself, but just thinking about it in the future, like making sure that I'm remembered in a positive light. What do I mean by that? The person that compliments and pours into and encourages and builds up everybody, doesn't matter who you are, what your dreams are, being that positive uplift, because not a lot of people get that. Right? There's a lot of negativity in this world. So if somebody remembers Natasha, or majority of people remember Tasha as, man, she was always so positive. She always congratulated me. It never had to be in front of anybody. Like she would write in my comments. She would send me a message. She would send me a text message every now and then just to show me that she's rooting for me. Right? Knowing that I'm rooting for everyone, that I got your back and I want to support. I'm that person. If you're doing something, I want to know what you're doing because I want to support it. Because if you love it, why can't I entertain it to see if I like it too? Or tell somebody else about it, right? So being remembered as a person that was always positive, uplifting, encouraging, and supportive. That's it. That's it. And not, somebody that's money hungry or, that's clout chasing or anything like that. Which is why, back to earlier, I'm not really big on posting income and stuff like that.
I know.
I want people to see it for the raw, the real, but it feels pretty good. I'll tell you that, Mark.
You hinted toward it, so like if they didn't catch it by now when you're talking about savings accounts, I was like, ooh, that gave me goosebumps. But continue.
but being remembered as a person that was always wanting to support, uplift, encourage, and pour belief into. That's amazing. That's it. That's it.
Amen. That's the definition of MC Inspires. Well, look, I know you're a busy woman. It is close out. You are grinding. So again, you guys follow her. I've tagged her. If you're from the Lou, show some love. Again, I'm going to post this on my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube. So this is going to go all over. Everybody's going to see this for generation to generation. People are going to remember this conversation. I'm telling you, I'm going to drive that everybody who knows me sees this conversation. So first and foremost, thank you, Miss Blair, for getting on this call. You guys follow her. You connect with her. I'm telling you, she's electric, and I love hearing her speak. So you guys follow her, thank her, send her some love, send her some comments. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. So
we're going to do this again, too. We're going to do this again.
Yes,
so don't
we're going to have our race.
Time. All right?
We're going to race. Come MGM Grand in Vegas. Be ready.
Hey,
Be
let's
ready.
go. Let's go.
All
right. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Caesar, are you on here? Can you